Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kunigiri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadip Dham ki jai, Jagannath Puri ki jai, Gangamai ki jai, Jamunamai ki jai, Tulsi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the assembled
Hare
devotees.
Krishna.
All glories to the assembled
Hare
devotees.
Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
Gaur
Hare
Premanande,
Hare Bol.
Hari Hari Bo.
Jai. Thank you very much, Maharaj. And thank you all to all the devotees who have assembled this evening for our Canto 1 lecture series by His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami. So if you have any questions or comments at the right time, you may unmute yourself and ask the question, or you can raise your hand using the raise hand feature, or you could type your comment or question in the chat box, whichever one works for you. Then we can get started with the class. Thank you, Maharaj.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutade. Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Shaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve. Gauravani Pracharine. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakolptarubhyascha kripa sindhu pyevacha, patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Welcome to all. Special obeisances to Purushartha Prabhu and my god brother Leelakar Prabhu, who's here. He's pinned in Vrindavan, uh, pending the resumption of flights. Thank you for coming. Hare Krishna. There's Bhakti Gopal had a question pending from um, the end of yesterday of the last class. I don't know if he's on yet, but when he's on, he can uh, ask his question. Meanwhile,
Now, it looks like he is on. Let me see if I can retrieve the question.
yeah, there he is. Um, well, when his question is ready, he can chat box it or unmute himself. But meanwhile, we'll jump in. The Parikshit Maharaj is surrounded by the sages at Naimisharanya and has asked them what his duty is, what the duty of every man is, the essential duty, and Riyamanasya, especially of a person who's about to die. And now the Shukadev Goswami has appeared. And Bhattu Gopal's question has appeared also, because we were talking about independence and how the sadhu, the saintly person, is unapeksha. He's not dependent on anyone or anything. And we talked about Raghunath Das Goswami, who, when he shifted to Puri, was being sent money by his father and uncle, but then renounced it. Told him, you don't have to send the money anymore. So isn't that right then to renounce the money which helps to serve devotees. Is that all right? Um, it was all right for Raghunath Das Goswami. The He was thinking that I've accepted the renounced life. He was very wealthy, his millionaire's family basically, and having renounced the world, he wanted to fully renounce this connection, this sense that I'm the son of a rich man, I'm getting money. He put it aside. The One might decide otherwise. One might say, all right. And that's what he was doing at first. He was taking the money, and then instead of using it for himself, he was inviting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the other devotees for a nice prasadam, uh, using the money that way. But then later he thought that I've accepted sannyas or accepted renounced life. So this is not very good. Sarvopati Vinirmuktam. He wanted to be free from that identity, that sense that, no, I have no problem because if there's any difficulty, my father will be there, my uncle will be there, they'll take care of me. The devotee wants to develop that sense of exclusive dependence on Krishna, not that uh, I'm okay because my family will take care of me, my insurance company will take care of me. Finally, uh, he wanted to cut all those connections. Uh, Otherwise, yes, money it's Krishna's money; it can be used for Krishna. But just like Kunti Devi, uh, please cut off my connection to the Vrishnis and the Pandavas. Wait a second. The Vrishnis and the Pandavas are Krishna's pure devotees, and pure devotees are on an equal level with Krishna. To be connected with Krishna's devotees means to be connected with Krishna. But she was seeing it from another point of view, that I'm associated with these uh, families in terms of the bodily conception of life. The affection is on that platform. So please let that be cut. My father's family, my husband's family, generally a woman is connected with these two families. But she wanted to have her devotion and her dependence directed exclusively toward Krishna. And therefore she prayed, please cut off my affection for the Pandavas and the Vrishnis so that my affection can just flow toward you. So Raghunath Das Goswami, in a similar uh, way, uh, cut off his connection with the money of his father and his uncle, and was just depending on Krishna's arrangement. That all right? Okay. Okay. Now, Sukadev Goswami has appeared on the scene. He's an unusual sight. He's a young boy, he's naked, and he's being followed by a gaggle of kids and women, and it's because he's such an unusual person. Now, tam dvashta varsham sukumarapada kororubhav anksha kapola gatram charvayata konasa tulyakarna subhrav ananam kambu sujata kantam. The son of Vyasadeva was only 16 years old. His legs, hands, thighs, arms, shoulders, forehead, and the other parts of his body were all delicately formed. His eyes were beautifully wide, and his nose and ears were highly raised. He had a very attractive face, and his neck was well formed and beautiful like a conch shell. And Prabhupada comments here that although Shukadev Goswami was only 16 years old, he was advanced by knowledge, more experienced than all the other sages. Anubhav means experience. Uh, he was more experienced than everyone else there. I remember Prabhupada talking about that at 26 Second Avenue, saying that one becomes advanced in essentially seniority uh, by knowledge. One may be advanced by age, that's conventional, but a person who's advanced in knowledge has seniority over everyone. So this was Sukadev Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, and his bodily features are also described here, beginning from the feet, a respectful description. Any questions or comments so far? Okay. Savishnurato, no, sorry. Niguta Jatrum Pritutunga Vakshasam Avartanabhim Bali Valgudaram Cha, rather. Avartanabhim Bali Valgudaram Cha Digambaram Vaktra Vikirna Kesham Pralamba Bahum Swamarotama Abham. His collarbone was fleshy, his chest broad and thick, his navel deep, his abdomen beautifully striped, his arms long, his curly hair strewn over his beautiful face. He was naked, and the hue of his body reflected that of Lord Krishna. Digambara means dressed by the directions. Dig means directions, and ambara is dress. So it's a way of saying he was naked. His bodily features indicate him to be different from common men. All the signs described in connection with the bodily features of Sukadev Goswami are uncommon symptoms, typical of great personalities, according to physiognomical calculations. His bodily hue resembled that of Lord Krishna, who is the supreme among the gods, demigods, and all living beings. We find this sometimes, descriptions of great persons, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how his arms were long and his body was strongly built and his eyes were like lotuses. In many places, Prithu Maharaj's description, in many different places we find such descriptions of the physical features of great persons. So here also, the Shukadev Goswami. Shamam Sada Pivya Vayonga Lakshmiya Strina Mano Gyam Ruchira Smitena Pratyutitas Te Muniya Swasanebhyas Talakshana Gya Apiguta Varchasam. He was blackish and very beautiful due to his youth. Because of the glamour of his body and his attractive smiles, he was pleasing to women. Though he tried to cover his natural glories, the great sages present there were all expert in the art of physiognomy, and so they honored him by rising from their seats. They could see right away that he was an extraordinary soul, and they stood up. Pratyutita. It's interesting that they were Lakshana Gya. They were expert in, Lakshana means signs. In this case, the signs of his bodily features. The we can take a moment. The it was sort of it was a standard understanding, even among scientists up to 100 years ago or so, that there's a relationship between appearance and one's nature. So physiognomy was, since the time of Aristotle and down to even 100 years ago, it was understood that there's some relationship there. That, well, the way we might put it, that there's a relationship between the gross body and the subtle body. One receives a particular body on account of one's previous activities, and one can, as it were, read a person's nature just by seeing the person. Over the last, say, 100 years, this idea has fallen into disrepute. It's now considered, it's fallen into the realm of junk science. The Nazis certainly didn't help by carrying it to an extreme with phrenology and measuring skulls and racial stereotypes and so on. But it seems, I was just seeing an article today on Googling things, that there's that physiognomy is making a comeback. And it's a subject matter of debate now among scientists. But they find, or at least there are findings, not that it's unanimously accepted by any means, but some scientists are running experiments and giving reports to the effect that, first of all, we do size people up that way. That right away we see someone and we make value judgments by seeing their face, by seeing their how they look, and also, and of course, here's where the science is disputed, but also that their findings tend to be generally true. That those who are seen as being crooked tend to be crooked. People who are dishonest, and people who are seen as being kind and gentle are kind and gentle. So we'll see. Science is always going back and forth, looking at things this way, looking at things that way, and sometimes believing one thing, sometimes believing another thing. But from the Vedic descriptions, from the descriptions in Srimad Bhagavatam and elsewhere, we find that these things are recognized, that the sages would see someone with extraordinary bodily features. At least I see that sometimes. I remember I was in Vrindavan a few years ago, and there was a Sri Vaishnava there, and he was taking part in the arti very happily. And you could just see like piety emanating from this person. He was, just all the features of his body were pious. It was remarkable. And when he spoke with me, he was actually so enormously appreciative of what Srila Prabhupada had done. So the impressions all went together. I remember another time we were at on Padayatra, and there's one active temple of the sun god in all of India, I think. There's Konark, which is no longer active. It's just a historical site. And there's another place in Orissa, northern Orissa, if I remember. And I've forgotten the name of the place. It's not that far from Kurmakshetra. In fact, we were supposed to go to Kurmakshetra that day, but the pujari of many years there had died, so the temple was closed essentially. And so we stayed an extra day at this sun temple. And the pujari there, but he was very eager to have us stay, and he was had a round, sunny face and a completely sunny disposition, a sunny nature. He was like the perfect representative of the sun god. He was so sunny. So the face and his nature and his occupation all matched. Now that's not to say that that um, face is always the accurate indicator. Vyasadeva was very ugly looking, and he's the greatest sage. So, but here, the sages could see that this is an extraordinary person. Lakshana Gya, they could tell by the signs that this person was not ordinary. The women and children couldn't tell. They didn't know. They were just ignorant and foolish. But the sages could see that this is an extraordinary person. Any questions? Okay. So Vishnu Rato Titiya Agataya Tasmai Saparyam Surasajahara Tato Nivritta Hyabudha Striyorbaka Mahasane Sopa Vivesha Pujita. Maharaj Parikshit is known as Vishnu Rata, one who's always protected by Vishnu, because the Lord had saved him in the womb of his mother. So he was known as Vishnu Rata. So he bowed his head to receive the chief guest, Atiti. Atiti means an uninvited guest, one who appears of his own accord. At that time, all the ignorant women and boys ceased following Srila Sukadeva. Receiving respect from all, he took his exalted seat. Maha Asana, an exalted seat. And the purport is, on Sukadeva Goswami's arrival at the meeting, everyone except Srila Vyasadeva, Narad, and a few others stood up. That means they honored him by standing, except for these very senior persons, his father, Vyasadeva, Narada. And Maharaj Parikshit, who was glad to receive a great devotee of the Lord, bowed down before him with all the limbs of his body. Shukadeva Goswami also exchanged the greetings and reception by embrace, shaking of hands, nodding and bowing down, especially before his father and Narad Muni. Thus, he was offered the presidential seat at the meeting. When he was so received by the king and the sages, the street boys and less intelligent women who followed him were struck with wonder and fear. So they retired from their frivolous activities, and everything was full of gravity and calm. But we can picture this. He's like a strange person who's being surrounded by curious and frivolous village women and children. But then when he walks into the assembly, all the greatest sages of the universe stand to honor him, and the king offers Dandavat pranams, and Sukadeva Goswami is offered the seat of honor. So the women and the children just back off, and everything becomes grave and calm. And this is our setting. Any questions or comments here so far?
I think there's one question. Samarpan, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Am I audible? Hare Krishna. Am I audible, Maharaj?
Excuse me?
Yeah, we can hear
Am
you.
I audible? Okay, okay.
We can hear you, but speak slowly because your audio is not very good.
Yes, yes. So, Maharaj, the Bhattu Gopal Prabhu's answer I was hearing. So, I was just wanting to understand the respect which is given to a person who is knowledgeable. That was explained through a Prabhupada pastime. So, is it the devotion goes beyond the knowledge of the in terms of respect, like Daksha, Daksha not respecting Lord Shiva, that kind of thing. So, can you please explain?
Of course, devotion includes knowledge. Tatstradhana munio jnana vairagya yuktaya pashyantyatmani chatmanam bhaktya shrutagrihitaya. Where there's genuine devotional service, then knowledge automatically follows. Knowledge doesn't mean just book knowledge. Real knowledge, what is that? Bahunam janmanamante gyanavan mam prapadyate. After many, many births of cultivating knowledge, when one is perfect in knowledge, then mam prapadyate, he surrenders to Krishna. Vasudeva sarvamiti. Krishna is everything. Sa Mahatma Sadulava. He's a rare, great soul. So, yes, by knowledge, of course, even a Gyani, a sage, is is more advanced. That hierarchy is described by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Is it to Sanatana Goswami? He's instructing that out of so many uh, species of life, the human being is advanced. Out of them, those who follow the Varnashram are advanced. Then out of them, uh, the uh, karmis who follow pious activities. Then still higher, the Gyanis. So the Gyanis are advanced. A person who has understanding of matter and spirit, a person who has knowledge of Vedic conclusions, he's advanced. But so he's a Brahmin, Brahmajanati ti Brahmana. But uh, more advanced than the Brahmin is the Vaishnav. He's the perfect Gyani, or he's more advanced than any Gyani, because he's come to the conclusion. All that Gyan is meant finally to culminate in devotional service. Gyanavan mam prapadyate. So, yes. And here, of course, Shukadev Goswami is such a perfect person. He's advanced in knowledge and devotion. Is that all right?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, then there's a question from Gurudas. Isn't this one of Maya's huge tricks on the jiva, that seeing someone of unusual bodily beauty, we attribute so many other attributes of wisdom, say, to that person? A Hollywood star is the epitome of that in our culture, or some other attractive celebrity. We are indeed in the age of cheater and cheated. It seems that someone who displays bodily beauty, who is actually advanced, is very rare and wonderful. But the rest of us, for lack of association with devotees, but enamored anyway by the bodily beauty, making all of these false attributions based on looks. Well, the classic case is Putana Witch. She came to the house of Nanda Jashoda, and everybody thought, "Oh my goodness, it's like the goddess of fortune here has come to see her husband." And uh, can you have the baby? Of course, you can have the baby. Anyone is as extraordinarily um, beautiful as you must be a very special person. So they completely had it wrong. Of course, that was the special um, power of Putana. She was able to transform herself and appear so beautiful, although her heart was completely different. But from another point of view, um, of course, it's foolishness. If someone's beautiful, it doesn't mean they're smart. Uh, doesn't mean they're smart. There's so many beautiful people, beautiful and foolish. That's also there. Beauty on its own uh, doesn't confer knowledge or even indicate knowledge. Uh, and so often people who are beautiful are foolish. Janmaisharya Shutas. But these are an indication of pious activities. If someone is, well, a movie star even, how did you get to be a movie star? There's so many women who are trying to look good and not really making the grade, or they're ordinarily good, but someone's extraordinary. The I saw some comments. Don't ask me when, don't ask me where. That Marilyn Monroe was, apart from just being known as a movie star, she was like she was magnetic. If she walked into the room, everybody would uh, be influenced, not just because she was Marilyn Monroe, but just by her nature. And we see that there are people who by their nature, they uh, they immediately draw attention. Um, but I'll give you an example everybody knows, like Vaisheshika Prabhu. Uh, he's just, when he walks in the room, he's special. Uh, you can just see from his Krishna's given him uh, a certain beauty, a certain presence. Let's put it beyond good looks, a presence which comes from um, past pious activities or from the mercy and grace of the Lord. Indra Maharaj comes to mind as another person who's just a striking person. Just he's built strongly. He walks in a room and you feel his presence. Those who know Kirti Raj Prabhu is another person who he walks in a room. He's big, and he could walk up to all these politicians back in the old days when he was working with the Russian persecution, and people would be influenced because he's big and he's friendly and so on. So that's a kind of an asset, a kind of a gift. Uh, that's a kind of a gift. Uh, Someone is wealthy, someone is by birth, someone is has a high education, uh, someone is good looking. So we instinctively understand that these are attractive assets. Uh, Aishvarasya, Samagrasya, Viryasya, Yasashastriya, Jnana Chapi. Krishna is attractive because he has all of these opulences. He's, he has wealth, he has power, he has beauty, he has fame, he has knowledge, he has detachment. These are all opulences. And Krishna has them unlimitedly. So he's unlimitedly attractive. People are attracted. Just here, women are attracted to Shukadev Goswami because he's young and he's good looking. What to speak of Krishna? He was so attractive that the women of Mathura were attracted. The women of Gokul were attracted. Everyone was attracted by his beauty. Women especially were attracted by his beauty, but everyone was. So these are opulences. These are natural endowments that a person may have. Education, if a person speaks with obvious learning and intelligence and so on, then we think that he's a learned person. He's got a degree from such and such place, or he's a student of such and such teacher. So these are opulences. And by past pious activities, one may be endowed with these opulences. On the other hand, someone may be um, ugly looking, uneducated, poor, un, unrecognized, and that comes from impious activities. Given a choice, no one would want to be poor, no one would want to be ugly, no one would want to be ignorant or uneducated. We'd like to have those opulences, and some people do. Uh, Now, it's not insurmountable. A person who's ugly may become a great sage, and Vyasadeva is the example. Or a person who's poor, of course, may become the most wise and powerful. But these are attractive qualities that are indicative of some uh, past credit. Even your Hollywood movie star, to give you your example, is, you know, how did she, out of all these women, become a movie star? There are thousands, even in the entertainment industry. There's, how many hundreds or how many thousands of women who are trying out for parts, who are trying out to get on to be the host of a television show or something. And some of them actually do. So the ones who do, they're standouts. They become famous also, which is another opulence. There's something about them that puts them ahead of the competition. But it doesn't mean that because they're beautiful, they're smart. And a person who could read physiognomy would probably look at it and say, a you know, a beautiful dumb woman. There's a beautiful but dumb. Or others, they may be beautiful and intelligent. That's also possible. So there are different signs, and one, sort of like a calculation. You look at it and you see, beautiful but dumb, or beautiful and intelligent and modest. That's lacking so often in your Hollywood stars. They're beautiful, but they behave like prostitutes. They don't have modesty. They don't have that kind of beauty. So any person who can read the signs can see that she's beautiful, but it's a kind of a cheap beauty, Hollywood beauty, not a deeper beauty. Or you look at like the beauty of Draupadi, or the beauty of Rukmini. That's a different beauty. It goes along with culture and modesty and religious qualities, uh, piety. So it's not just beauty or a particular kind of beauty. And yes, the present age is bewildered. If somebody's just good looking, then they think he's he's so, they're after that. They're more after a person who's beautiful than a person who's wise. That's Kali Yuga. The wise person is neglected, and the beautiful person becomes an object of worship. Beautiful and stupid, that's preferable to ordinary looking and wise. That's Kali Yuga. That's Kali Yuga. But so one has to be able to read not just one sign or two signs, but the whole constellation, as it were, the whole picture, and then one comes to the conclusion. And also, it's said looks are deceiving. Sometimes even we read the signs, but we misread them. It seems that this person is just like Jayadvaita. He seemed like he was just an oaf. that's what King Ruhugan thought about him. He's like a dumb oaf, and he'll be good for, look at him. He's built like a construction worker or something. He's good for carrying a palanquin. That's what he's good for. So by looks, that was the king's conclusion. But then when Jayadvaita began to speak, then the king could understand, uh-oh, this is a Mahatma, this is a great soul. This is a highly advanced person, and I've offended him. It's said there's a, what is that? I quoted it. Nabhashate. Somebody know that Chanakya Shloka? The meaning is that one may really shine and seem to be a great person until he speaks. And then you see that he's a fool. A well-dressed, impressive person may seem to be something, but when he opens his mouth, then you see that this person's a fool. So it's not just by looks. One has to take everything into account. But still, these are the results, even to be a king or to be a leader of a nation is a kind of opulence by Krishna's grace, by some sort of past pious activities. One has become the king or one has become the president. Of course, you have to read all the signs, Our present leaders might not be considered to have fame and wisdom. Perhaps just fame or perhaps fame and wealth, but wisdom is another story. So one has to see everything. Is that all right? Or Tulsi Priest says, or you can have it all and lose it because of inferior upbringing, resulting in self-destructive habits. Yeah, that also happens. You have your Hollywood starlets who are suicidal and self-destructive. They're drugs and booze and all of that. So yeah, tavat cha shobate murko yavat kinchit napashate. Thank you, Prema Sindhu. As long one may shine, one may look really good. Murka, a fool, may look really good. Tavat, yavat, kinchit napashate, until he says something. Then when he speaks, you see he's a fool. And yes, it's the total summary. And that's also another thing, is that a person may be not very beautiful, not very educated, not belonging to a particularly good family. But when that person becomes a devotee, then things change. Then things change. The person who's not particularly attractive, but becomes a devotee of Krishna, becomes effulgent, develops these godly qualities, and becomes attractive in spite of being, perhaps very ordinary looking or less than ordinary looking. Now the person becomes extraordinary. May not be well educated, may not be very good looking, may not come from a good family, may not have, so many things. But the person becomes a devotee and stands out. This person is extraordinary. This person is extraordinary. Why? Yes, yasti bhaktir bhagavat yakinshana sarvaya gunais tatra samasate sura. The person who takes up unalloyed devotional service to Krishna develops all the qualities of the demigods. So even the demigods would see such a person, such a devotee, and say, oh, this is an exceptional person. Therefore, we don't just, that's also warned by Rupa Goswami and Upadeshamrita, that don't just see the external features. If one looks at a Vaishnav and thinks, oh, this person is ugly, or this person is deformed in some way, or this person's got some this or that, then you have a hellish mentality. Then you have a hellish mentality. The pure devotee is not to be seen in terms of bodily defects and mere material calculation. Otherwise, it's like seeing the Ganga and saying, oh, there's stool in it, there's junk in it, so the Ganga, no, one has, the person of knowledge sees, oh, the Ganga is flowing from the lotus feet of Vishnu, the most purifying. Lord Shiva is keeping the water of the Ganges on his head. One has to see that way and not by material calculation. Otherwise, we can ruin ourselves. If we only see materially, these are generally material calculations. This person's, you can see he's good looking, or he's cultured, or he's well dressed, or he's, has the signs of good breeding. But Arava Bhaktasya Kutoma Hatuna. If he's not a devotee, then the person who's really in knowledge looks at him and says, he has no good qualities. Manoratain asati dhavatobi. He's just on the, has an uncontrolled mind, and he's not, doesn't know who he is, what the purpose of his life is. So he's useless. A person who's truly learned can distinguish that, and he sees devotional service trumps everything. Whatever the background, whatever the assets of the person's material birth, he's taken to devotional service, he's a great person. That's the defect that Prabhupada traced in the caste Goswamis, or the typical, what would you say, xenophobic Indian temple dwellers who, if they see that you're a Westerner, they think that you're, you must be polluted and disqualified, and you shouldn't be allowed to enter the temple. But anyone who's Indian, he may be a drunkard, woman hunter, anything, he's eligible. So that's a material calculation, which is not accepted among the pure devotees. Pure devotee wants to see how a person is devoted to Krishna. And he doesn't consider Vaishnava Jati Buddhi, he doesn't consider the birth. Doesn't consider birth. He considers ultimately, is this person Krishna's devotee? Otherwise, you're not Krishna's devotee. I don't care what family you come from. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care about your education. I don't care about your Brahmin thread. I don't care about any of this. You're a nonsense rascal. On the other hand, it's a credit. If someone's born in a Goswami family, if someone's even to be born in India, it's a pious credit. But it's not automatic that my birth is now successful because I'm born in India, or because I'm born in a Goswami family, or because I'm born in a high family one way or another, or because I'm highly educated, I've been to such and such university. The qualification is, what is your standard of devotional service? That's there. And if a person is genuinely a devotee, then he'll be attractive in a different way. Oh, this person is a devotee. And that quality will be recognized by those who are learned, or those who who know what is what, they'll see that here's a devotee. Is that all right?
There's a question, Maharaj, from Santosh Chaitanya Prabhu, and then followed by Athena.
Mm-hmm.
Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
Santosh.
My question is, as you mentioned that when Sukadeva Goswami appeared, uh, the place where all the sages were waiting, and Vyasadeva also was there, and he has spoken the Bhagavatam so many times, and he knows everything in and out of Bhagavatam. But he was still there, and he was looking for something because a pure Vaishnava was there. So a devotee like me, mm, I'm like always whenever I have already heard a lecture, I always think that, oh, there's nothing for me in here. I have already heard the lecture. So what mindset, what should I tell myself to look for that thing which Vyasadeva was looking into? Sukadeva was.
Well, we can look at ourselves and think this is the kind of person I am. I've heard the lecture once, and I think now I've heard it. The Vayam tu Navatripyama, those who are advanced, they never get tired of hearing Krishna Katha, and they'll hear the same topics again and again, and always, just like breakfast. It's not that because you had breakfast yesterday, today it doesn't taste like anything. Every day you sit down for breakfast, and every day you think, breakfast. So the devotee, he's always relishing Krishna Katha. And he doesn't, well, I heard this before, or this is such and such devotee. Even Prabhupada, he wrote to Gopi Jana Vallabha Prabhu when Gopi was the president of ISKCON New York, that everyone should come to the classes regularly, the Bhagavatam classes. And he said that even I am attending the classes here in Vrindavan, and I'm hearing how the students are speaking, and I am enjoying. He said, so if I am attending, everyone should be attending. He said, don't try to be a greater, what was the word?
Paramahamsa Maharaj.
Paramhansa. You don't try to be a greater Paramhansa than your Guru Maharaj. So as I'm attending, you should also be attending. So that's the sign of a devotee. He not that he only, this all-star famous Bhagavad reciter is going to be speaking, so I have to go. But he'll enjoy even hearing a student speak. Just like sometimes our children do plays and so on, and we enjoy them. How they're playing something Krishna Lila. So is that all right? Does that somewhat answer your question?
Yes, Maharaj, but it doesn't come that way. It's like always the. I'm just wondering that all these great devotees, they are looking for something else in those in those lectures which are spoken by the great Vaishnavas. So
Looking for something else means?
like they always look for something which they might not have heard, or they are looking through the words. So how to look through the words in a lecture, and how to
Well, there's a few
take
things. One thing on the opposite of what I said is that there is something about realization. I sort of deprecated the all-star speakers, but from another point of view, sometimes we see that someone is very advanced in understanding and realization. And so we are particularly anxious to hear from him, just as the sages here are eager to hear, especially from Sukadeva Goswami, because they could understand that he was advanced. So there's nothing wrong with that. But it's not novelty. It's not that one advances by hearing something that one never heard before. And therefore, there always has to be something new, some new topic, some new, ferret out some new story or some new information so that everybody will go, wow. It's not that, or a new way of presenting things that everybody will say, wow, that was a knockout, you know, that was so clever or so cool. The potency is there in the glorification of Krishna.
Mhm.
The Prabhupada would speak the same things again and again. It was like, as I have said several times, and several would have been like 700 or something, you know, just as the hand has to feed the stomach, you know, or just as you have to pour water on the root of the tree. How many times did we hear that? But it's not that, oh, he's saying that again. There's a potency to these things, and hearing them again and again is enlightening. Not that it's a novelty. We have to find something that no one's ever said before, and you know, dazzle our friends with something new. But there's depth of appreciation. Is that okay?
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you.
Then maybe we have time for. Okay, Tina had a question.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Remember to take out my headphones this time.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Jayadvaita Pranams. I had a question. It made me think when you had said that when we see people who are very poor, it is due to impious past activities, maybe past life.
Mhm.
But when we see the stories, there are so many great souls and great devotees who are so impoverished financially. For example, I think of Shavari in the Ramayana with the wonderful berries. Actually, I'm sorry, I forget the name, but I think his name was Sridhar with the selling the banana leaves.
Yes,
to
Kolovich Sridhar.
Yes, you're so sweet. Just banana leaves. How materially impoverished or financially, no money, but they are just such sweet souls, and I can't imagine them being, for them to be such great souls and pure devotees in life, to have, you know, impious activities for them to be poor in this lifetime. So that's my first question, and I had something related with the six opulences dealing with.
Yeah, how is it that these people could have a background of impious activities when they're such great devotees? Well, one thing, that's kind of what stands out, that in one sense we look and say, you know, she's just a poor village woman, and just see her devotion. He's just a banana seller, and see his devotion. So it's a contradiction in one sense. You'd expect that a person who's from a Brahmin family and well trained and well educated and all of that, you know, there's a person who would have the background, and instead, you know, a simple villager. So, or you know, a hunter becomes a Vaishnav.
Right.
So it's like double beauty. You know, there were the ordinary Vaishnavas. They were, you know, extraordinary. Anyone who's a Vaishnava is extraordinary. But the hunter became a Vaishnav. Everybody was coming to see him.
Oh, sorry. The hunter is which character?
The Nard Muni made one hunter into a Vaishnav.
Oh,
Rigari.
okay.
He,
remember when he was scared of stepping on the ant or half killing them, and then
yes,
he was given the
he
mantra.
was half killing the animals. So,
okay, sorry, I didn't know he was a hunter. But yes.
Yeah, he was a hunter. He was half killing animals, and Nard Muni convinced him, you give this business up and just make a hut and sit and chant Hare Krishna, keep Tulsi there, and you and your wife chant, and I'll send you some food, don't worry. And then people were coming from all directions because they heard a hunter's become a Vaishnav. So Vaishnavas, you know, why are you coming to see a hunter? There's so many Vaishnavas. But it was extraordinary that this hunter has become a Vaishnav. Or, you know, Prabhupada brought Westerners to India, and they become Vaishnavas. So wait a second, there are Vaishnavas in India. Why do you have to see these Vaishnavas? But people were so attracted to see these Western Vaishnavas. Because normally you expect a Westerner to be, a woman hunter, meat eater, low life, uncultured, and these people have become Vaishnavas, so it becomes like even more attractive. There's some mention in Nectar of Devotion that there's some people from some like uncivilized class of people, and when they're decorated with tilak and kantimala, and then they and devotional service, they're so extraordinarily beautiful that they're like demigods.
Mm.
Otherwise, if you're not a Vaishnav, then your poverty is just poverty.
Right.
Right? But but like Sudama Brahmin, he's living in poverty. It's an opulence. Of course, Brahmins, that's their nature. They keep themselves poor. So for a Brahmin to be poor is an opulence. For a Kshatriya to be poor, or a Vaishya to be poor is like a failure.
So I guess you can say that well, in these cases, this was specifically orchestrated by Krishna or Rama to, I guess, even highlight their stories and their leelas even more. They make them even more attractive.
Yes, if a devotee has, or someone comes from or like Prahlad, he's a demon.
Demon family, yes.
Right, he's a demon. He's a
right.
He's a daitya. He's a daitya. He's coming from a dynasty of the worst demons. So when he becomes a pure devotee, or when he manifests himself as a pure devotee, then it's doubly impressive.
Right.
Right.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you. And then, if you don't mind, quickly, this relates to wealth, because you had mentioned so many of the 6 opulences. And I'm not sure if this is, I'm just internally processing and made me think, kind of comment question, would love to hear your thoughts. But when we hear about wealth, what strikes me, what sticks with me is what Ranat Swami had said. He said, you can measure how rich a person is by the number of things that the person has that you can't buy with money. So you can't buy love with money, you can't buy bhakti with money, or good character, or friends, integrity. So that is true wealth. But every time we talk about the 6 opulences, when we talk about wealth, it's always around money and financially. But true wealth, according to Ranat Swami in that example, is everything but that. It's all these qualities that you can't buy with money, and you look at someone who's so rich and wealthy, and even this beauty might not be external beauty, but really internal beauty, whether it be purity or humility. It's not just the straightforward definition of wealth meaning a lot of money.
It's sort of a transferred meaning. When we say that, like, austerity is the wealth of the Brahmins, for example. Now, austerity is not money. It's not wealth. Wealth means the root meaning of wealth is money.
Okay.
If we say a wealthy person, this person is wealthy, what do you understand? It means he's got money. He made his money on the stock market or something. That's wealth. But there's what we call a transferred meaning, that if somebody is austere, that's the wealth of the Brahmin. Or if somebody's humble, that's another wealth of a Brahmin. So it's a transferred meaning, but the original meaning is money. That's why we, when we say austerity is the wealth of the Brahmins, we're essentially saying it's as good as money, or it's better than money. It's a treasure. Like Sri Ratna, Dushkaladapi. If a woman is even if she's coming from a low family, she may be a jewel. Now, she's not a jewel. I mean, you wouldn't put her in a locket or something like that. But it's a transferred meaning, that she's so qualified that we say this woman is a jewel. So somebody has humility, somebody has integrity, someone has these qualities, then we say that person has real wealth. But the root meaning of wealth, the original meaning of wealth, is wealth, money, possessions, cows, all of that.
Mm.
So, and if somebody has that, then that person's attractive to some people, right? People, want to be, they want to be in the neighborhood of money.
So when they talk about the 6 opulences, when they say wealth, it is literally in that
Literally
definition.
wealth. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, got it. And then we can't transfer any definitions then when you say beauty, it's literally physical beauty versus like internal beauty, like a great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Beauty means, the basic, our usual understanding of beauty. And of course, beauty, for someone really to be beautiful, if their character is really nasty, then probably it'll show in their face and their beauty won't be, but beauty means beauty, beautiful nose, beautiful teeth, beautiful eyes, beautiful, that's beauty, beautiful form. So beauty, fame, ultimately, but then we say if someone's famous as a devotee, that's real fame. If someone's decorated with the qualities of a devotee, that's real beauty. So all of these opulences are trumped ultimately by the godly qualities that a devotee displays.
Thank you so much for clarifying. Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Sorry. We are a little bit over time. I think there was one other question from Musfikar Kasham. Yeah, go ahead.
Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. I'm fairly new to Bhakti, and so please forgive me for any offense that I may say. I just had a question about, you mentioned the Ganga, and like how we see it as a spiritually beautiful, but sometimes I've seen some videos about like the Ganga and mentioning people passing stool, and I've seen throwing garbage and all of that. And personally, like I do want to visit India, but making the discernment that I personally wouldn't want to bathe or drink from it because it doesn't look healthy. Is it okay to have that discernment? And do you think it should, and being a holy place, shouldn't it be taken care of like better by everyone who takes benefit from it?
Yeah, the glories of the Ganga are considerably hidden these days by the industrial refuse of Delhi and what have you. So we're not able to appreciate, and especially these days, it's gotten so bad. But even Prabhupada wrote that, when the Ganga goes through Kolkata, it's called Hooghly. And Prabhupada mentioned that there were people who were bathing in that Hooghly every day, and they're, they have good health, and they're getting pious credit, even though Calcutta is not the place. It's not Haridwar or something where the purest of the pure, obviously pure water flows, but still there's something to it. There's something to it. But yes, it's the responsibility of the government and really of the government to see that these places are, or these rivers and forests and holy places are preserved, are protected. That they should do. Is that okay?
Yeah, thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Thank you very much, Maharaj, and thank you very much for all the devotees for your comments and questions. So I think it's definitely past the time, and I just had a couple of quick announcements to make for the upcoming sessions.
Oh my God, I wish I could have squeezed in like the tiniest of comments, but I can save it, I guess.
So upcoming sessions. Tomorrow at 11 a.m. we have Kripa Moya Prabhu from the UK, maintaining enthusiasm in Vamsa Bhakti. And then tomorrow evening we have Amrita Swami. He's our GBC and he'll be speaking remotely, of course. And then on Sunday we have Anuttama Prabhu on the importance of communications between devotees. So please join on the same channel on the weekend as well. And then again on Monday, we will restart our lecture series with Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj. And we will open with Gail Mataji's comment, if that's okay. Actually, you know, if it's just a few seconds, you can just make it, Mataji. Might as well.
You are so merciful. I've been chomping at the bit when we were talking about advanced devotees hearing about Krishna Katha and how it's like always ever fresh for them. And, you know, no matter who is talking about it. During that discussion, I was thinking that, yes, it's ever fresh for them, because one thing I heard was that, you know, they're not hearing to acquire knowledge. When they're hearing about Krishna, or reading about Krishna, that katha is reminding them of their relationship with Krishna. You know, when they hear the name Krishna, they don't just think of some other person, they think of their relationship, and therefore they're relishing that relationship. They're not just trying to learn new information. So that's why, you know, when they hear Krishna Katha, is ever fresh for them, because they're relishing, not like just learning or acquiring new knowledge.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you for letting me get that in there.
I could sense your dissatisfaction and anxiety, Mother. It's a good point. Thank you so much for sharing. So, and I'd like to request Nilmani Prabhu to offer a final word of thanks and kick off the weekend. We can't hear you, Nilmani Prabhu, somehow. Even though it's unmuted, somehow your voice isn't coming through. It's interesting. Try again. Yeah, it's not coming.
You could just
yeah.
You could just turn your camera on and wave.
Yeah,
We'll all understand.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you, Maharaj, once again. And anyone else wants to say Haribol, you can say Haribol right now, and we can call it a night. Thank you very much. Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Rupidas Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Maharaj,
Thank you so much.
for
Hare
your
Krishna.
association.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Hare Bol Shweta Devi.
Hare Krishna.
We're still on.
Haribol.
Haribol Maharaj.
Jai. Where are you?
We're in Alachua, Florida.
Ah, right.
Maybe we can call you sometime, Maharaj, if it's okay.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
My number changed. If you write to me, I can give you my number.
Okay, will do, Maharaj.
Thank you.